Hi friends, I'm Luke, and today we're going to talk about 7 mistakes a lot of students make when they're taking the Duolingo English test. And of course, I'm going to show you how you can avoid making these mistakes. But before I start that, if you're new to this channel, hi, I'm Luke from detready.com. Head over to that website to find resources, courses, and other useful information about the Duolingo English test. Okay then, well let's start with the first mistake, and it's to do with the describe a photo question type. And the mistake students make is that they just label, they don't describe. In my Facebook group, I have a lot of students in there that practice writing their sample answers for this describe a photo question type. And a lot of times, the students don't actually describe what's in the photo, rather they just label it. If you just label, you're only using really simple sentence structures and a very limited small vocabulary. So you're not going to get a high score if you just label. Instead, you have to describe what you see. So let me show you how this is done. First, here I'm going to show you a sample answer where the student just labeled the photo, and I'm going to show you why that's bad, and then I'll show you a good descriptive answer. That way you can compare the bad answer with a good answer. Okay, so this is a photo, and this is what I mean by labeling. The student wrote, "I can see 6 men. There is a TV and a computer. Also, I can see a sofa." So of course this is not good enough. This is not a description, this is just a label. Instead, you want to try to go beyond labeling the items you can see, and you can describe what could be happening in the image, which can help you to tell a better story. Okay, now let's take a look at a good answer. This student wrote, "This is a picture of a man giving a presentation at work. He's holding something in his right hand and talking to the 3 men who are sitting directly in front of him." Of course, on the Duolingo English test, you only have 1 minute to answer this writing question. But still, it's really important that you go beyond labeling and try to describe what you see. And of course, it's not easy. You have to practice this a lot. And if you want to practice this question type more, I have made a video on this. I'll put a link to it below in the description. And on top of that, I have made a full writing course which focuses solely on this question type. In this course, I show you how to structure an answer really effectively, a structure you can use for any photo. Knowing a structure like this is really helpful because it helps you to type your answer much quicker. I also show you easily how you can come up with ideas for writing about any photo, and I show you how to use adjectives, adverbs, and prepositions really effectively for making a good description. If you're interested in this course, you can find a link below in the description. Mistake number 2 that a lot of students make is also related to writing, and is simply not writing enough. So as you probably already know, there are 2 different writing questions on this Duolingo English test. We have the describe a photo and the write about a topic. For the describe a photo, you must write 1 sentence and you have 1 minute to do that. And then for the write about a topic, you must write at least 50 words and you have 5 minutes to do that. However, if you actually look on the Duolingo test website and you go through their criteria for how they mark these writing questions, then you will see that length is a point that they emphasize, which indicates to us that they actually want you to write more than those minimum requirements. So what does that mean? Well, probably for the describe a photo, you want to write anywhere between 2 and 3 sentences, and then for the write about a topic, probably around 75 to 100 words. Basically, you should write as much as you can as long as you're not compromising your grammatical accuracy or your lexical accuracy. But of course, that's easier said than done. How can you actually write more? Well, I think the best way to prepare and to practice is to learn a good structure. A good structure can help you because regardless of the photo or the question you get, you know how you're going to answer the question. So you don't waste valuable time thinking like, oh my god, how do I even answer it? You know exactly what your first sentence will be, your second, your third, and so on. And in my courses, like I mentioned earlier, I do show you how to structure your answers for both of these question types, and I give you lots of examples and different questions you can practice with. But in this video, I'll give you a quick overview of a good structure you can use for both of those question types. Okay, so this is the first question type, which is the describe a photo. Again, like I mentioned, you should probably try to do around 2, maybe 3 sentences. 3 might be too many if you're a slow typer, but you should try to do 2. In sentence 1, you want to talk about the main subject. For example, this photo shows 2 women holding hands in a green field. The main subject, of course, in this photo is those 2 women. Sentence 2 is about adding more details. And you can add more details by thinking about these 2 things. 1, who is doing what? And 2, what is where? In this example, I did who is doing what, and I looked at the lady on the right. I said, the woman on the right is taking a photo with her camera and laughing loudly. Then sentence 3 is where you can speculate. Now you might not have time to do 3 sentences, and that's okay, but if you do, then you can speculate. For example, they must be best friends. That's a speculation. I don't know that, I'm just guessing. And for the write about a topic question type, a good structure would look like this. We have a topic sentence which outlines your main idea or your main thesis of your paragraph. Then you have supporting ideas with examples. I would suggest that you do around 2 of these supporting ideas, and then you finish off with a concluding sentence. Okay, let me show you what I mean by giving you an example. My topic sentence is, I agree that employers should offer longer holidays to increase productivity. This is a topic sentence. It shows exactly what my whole paragraph is going to be about. And I provided 2 supporting ideas which back up my topic sentence, and I gave examples as well. You can read these by yourself, and then at the end I had a simple concluding sentence. Again, you can read this by yourself. The best thing about learning a structure is that you can actually write more because you know how to answer the questions. So as soon as you see the photo or as soon as you read the prompt for the writing question, you can start typing right away. And this will save you valuable seconds on this test. So this one was brought to my attention on my Facebook group by Andreas Leon, and he said, what do you do if you get sidetracked or go off topic? Can you resume talking as if nothing happened? Or should you use a phrase like, let me rephrase this to get back on topic? And I think that's a really great question. And I think it's really important that you try to stay on topic when you're answering the speaking question, because on the Duolingo test criteria, task relevance is a point that they emphasize. So it's quite important not to lose focus and go off topic, but if you do, try to come back on by using special phrases. And there are lots of phrases you can use. Just like Andres said, let me rephrase this, that's a totally fine one, but let me show you a few more. Okay, so here are some phrases you can use when you want to get back to topic. You can say, so anyway, getting back to my story. As I was saying, let me rephrase that. Or where was I? These are all different phrases you can use when you find that you go off topic, but want to get back to the main question that's being asked of you. It's also important to know that on the speaking questions, they do give you points to talk about, and I strongly recommend that you just go through each of the questions one by one. This is helpful because it's basically a guide to help you to answer this question effectively. And again, there are different transition phrases you can use when you want to go from one question to another. So let me show you a few of those here. So we can call them linking phrases. For example, in regards to the first question, or moving on to the next question. Also, you can say, as for the next or final question, or just before you conclude, you can say, one more thing I'd like to add is. So using all of those phrases, the phrases to get back to topic, and different sequencing phrases you can use to go from question to question will help you to actually answer the question more fully and probably help you to speak for longer. Again, even for speaking, length is really important. Don't select all the words. So this is a question I get asked surprisingly often, and it is about choosing all of the words on the vocabulary question types. Just in case you don't know, there are 2 vocab question types on the Duolingo test. One is read all of these words and choose the real English ones, and the other is very similar. Instead, you have to listen to a bunch of words and choose the real ones. But some students, they ask me, can I just choose all of the words? That way I'm bound to select all of the real ones. And yeah, that's true, but if you do that, you're also selecting all of the fake words, which will cost you points. So there is some sort of negative marking going on. So the rule is simply only select the words you are sure are real English words. It's actually impossible to guess if you're not sure because all of the words look like real words, but they're not. Only some of them are. So avoid choosing all of the words. Spelling and punctuation mistakes. So unfortunately, spelling and punctuation is really important in all of the writing tasks and also the dictation task as well. English spelling is kind of messed up, and that makes it really hard to study and actually really hard to teach. So the best thing you can do to practice your spelling is to read a lot and also practice typing on Microsoft Word or Grammarly without a spell checker, and then going back and checking your spelling mistakes through those programs. That way you can figure out the words you don't actually know how to spell. Punctuation is also really tricky, but the rules are a lot clearer. Okay, so firstly, you always need to start your sentence with a capital letter and finish with a full stop, even for the dictation question type. And then more advanced grammatical structures might require a comma. So using a comma is a bit complicated, but I will make a full video for you showing you exactly how to use a comma correctly. But for this video, I have 3 simple rules to show you. Okay, number 1, you should use a comma in a list, especially for nouns and verbs, and sometimes for adjectives as well. For example, everything was ready for my trip. I had my camera, money, and airplane ticket. So when you're writing out a list, it's important to use a comma to separate the items, but there is a little bit of confusion. So in British English, normally we don't put a comma before the last item. For example, in British English, it's much more common to write, I had my camera, comma, money, and plane ticket. But in American English, they would write it like this. I had my money, comma, camera, comma, and plane ticket. Both are correct, and the Duolingo test has stated that they do accept both British and American English spelling, and I assume punctuation as well. Personally, actually I'm British, but I actually like the American style. I think it's a lot clearer. Okay, the next rule is you should put a comma in front of the fanboys, which are used to join 2 independent clauses. Fanboys is an acronym that stands for and, nor, but, or, yet, so. I made a video in the past which discusses fanboys in a lot more detail, and also in my full courses I go into a lot of detail in the fanboys and show you lots of different examples. But basically you should use a fanboy when you want to connect 2 independent clauses, and before the fanboy there should be a comma. Independent clauses are basically clauses which include their own subject. For example, I could say, Jack wanted to go to university, but he didn't get accepted. So that sentence has 2 subjects, Jack in the first clause and he in the second clause. And I connected those 2 subjects with the word but, which is a fanboy, and of course I used a comma before but. Next mistake is not knowing the time limits for the different question types. So the Duolingo English test has a lot of different question types, 10 in total, which are graded, and then 2 which are interview focused. Those are ungraded, but they are sent to your university. So because there are so many different question types, you need to know exactly how much time you have for each question type before you take the test. Of course, when you take the real test, there is a timer in the top left-hand corner. But before you take the test, you should also know exactly how much time you have for each question type. That way you can prepare really effectively. So let me quickly show you this here. So here is the maximum time limit you get for each of the different question types. You should read this by yourself, and I kind of recommend that you memorize these so that there's no surprises when you take the real test. So that's the maximum amount of time you have for each question type. If you do finish quicker, you can click next, that's totally fine. That won't affect your score anyway. So you won't get a better score for clicking next, or you won't get a worse score if you just let it run through. So the Duolingo English test requires you to think and answer quickly, and because it's a computer-based test, it also requires you to type quickly. And if you're anything like me, then you type really slowly. And this could end up hurting your score because you can't answer as much as you would like to because you're slow at typing. So basically, the best way to improve your typing speed is to practice. And I actually have been practicing on this website. It's free and it's a really good resource you can use to practice typing and actually monitor your typing speed. I think this is really useful, and I would recommend doing this for about 10 minutes or 20 minutes every single day before you take the test in order to boost your typing speed. And if you want to practice more, don't forget I have made lots of videos, so here's a writing practice lesson and here is a speaking practice lesson. Okay, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.